Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the ABJ Podcast. So this one's a little different. It's not a current state of the pod. It's not a self-reflection of ABJ. It's not even a podcast guest. I told you there's going to be some episodes coming up that are going to be things I'm into, things I wanted to research, things that I wanted to educate myself more on. And my education will then come to you guys and what I've learned and what I've researched, and that'll come in the form of these podcasts. This doesn't really fit into the narrative of the pop culture or the horror, or, these could be conversations on blazing buds or banging beers, but that's for another day. But it doesn't really fall under any tornado tag or anything like that. This is more, I would say, ABJ. This is more, if you're listening to this and you're not from my local area, as the title already says, Mahanoy City, Pennsylvania. But this is going to be a way for you to understand where I come from and the things the area I was raised in, the town and the local community and the local stuff around it. Just to kind of give you a little idea, like I'm in this tiny town. We'll get into all the details about that soon. And every 10, 15 minutes away is another little coal region town. It's like each town a little section of the mountains. It's pretty wild. Hard to explain to outside people, but man, it's beautiful. It's rural. It's quiet. It's, everybody kind of knows everybody. It could be really supportive, or it could be really lonely. And it could be a spot where it's tough for people to find their muse, or not only that, there's nothing to do but find your muse and be creative. And I think this is a huge reason why I always say PA people. And I'm not saying that because I'm not biased to anywhere else. I think every place has its own specialness. But in this area, man, you kind of get either sucked into a hole of social norms, or you find your creative path and you find a way to rise above that and do other things. And kind of where we are in Northeast PA, you're like 3 hours away from everything. You're 3 hours away from any major city. You can kind of go experience big city, then come right back to your small little town. But even these towns are changing. And like I said, we'll get into that too. So let's get into this one. Today, we are stepping into the heart of Pennsylvania anthracite coal region, a place that's once fueled the world's factories, birthed cable television, crowned state champions, and even hosted Muhammad Ali and Babe Ruth. Less than a half a square mile, but its stories stretch far and wide. This is Mahanoy City, Pennsylvania. Mahanoy City, Pennsylvania was founded in 1859, incorporated in 1863, and quickly became a hub of coal mining. The name comes from a Lenape word. I may butcher some of these words or names or anything like that. Forgive me. I went to Mahanoy area. Mahanoy, meaning salt deposits. By the 1900s, the town was booming with miners, immigrants, churches, saloons, all crammed into one narrow row homes under the shadow of the coal breakers. Now, when we say row homes, a block isn't like a city block. A block is maybe maybe a football field long, sometimes even less than that, maybe 50 yards wide, and it's just houses connected to each other. And they all have this thing where, like, if I were to go up my attic and cut a hole in the wall, I can get into the crawl space of the next attic and walk all the way down the block if there's an entire block to do that. We're going to get into that because that makes a lot of challenges for this area when it comes to like heating your home or for the local fire departments to fight fires. Fun fact, in 1903, Mahanoy City had 143 licensed saloons. That's one bar for every 98 people. It was deemed the drinking capital of America at one point. The Molly Maguires were Irish miners accused of forming secret society to fight the exploitations of the 1860s and 70s. They are blamed for mine foremen's murders, sabotage, and riots. The Pinkerton detective James McParland infiltrated the group posing as James McKenna in Mahanoy City saloons. His testimony led to trials where over 20 Irish miners were hung to their deaths in various towns of Schuylkill County. When you walk down Center Street, you're walking the same streets as McPlan did, undercover, gathering evidence against men who swore they were only fighting for justice. Were they criminals? Were they martyrs? Today, the Molly Maguire symbol a harsh clash between immigrant labor and corporate power. We have a statue in the middle of town that is essentially a man being hung. It is behind a wall, so you can't see it from the visible street view, but you go in and there's tons and tons of of stuff with that. But essentially, what we have today with workers' rights, where you can only work so many hours, children can't work in certain locations. Overtime pay. Your company can't do certain things to you because you're protected under certain laws. That's kind of what the Molly Maguires fought for. They were kind of all paid in credits, and the credits were only able to be used in the miners' stores and businesses. And a lot of them, the Irish ones, weren't even allowed to even go in half these stores because the Irish weren't allowed to do that. They were kind of like treated like scum in this area, and they got sick of it, and they fought back. And maybe it's up to you to decide whether they were right or justified. But when a society of people are kind of treated the way they were treated, there's two ways. There's either lay down and die, or there's fight back. And the Irish fought back, and because they decided to fight back is the reason why we have a lot of what we have today, and the reason why we can't get pushed around when it comes to corporate America. Hollywood retold the story of the Molly Maguires in a 1970s film starring Sean Connery and Richard Harris. It was filmed in Cole County. Historians like Kevin Kenny have since reframed the Mollies as victims of prejudice and corporate overreach. In Jim Thorpe, the old jail still shows the Molly Maguires' handprint on the wall, said to be left by a condemned man the condemned man declaring his innocence. We did a few episodes of Truth Behind Illusion in that prison as well. It is definitely a great place to go visit and experience the town of Jim Thorpe, because that's another one that had a lot of repression because of what the Mollies went through. The Mollies were both history and legend. Men, flesh, and blood turned into symbols of justice, violence, and survival. Here we go. Breakthrough and rise. Cable television. In 1947, John Walton rigged mountain antennas to bring signals to Monty City, creating the first U.S. cable television system. Happened right here in our town. The Kyer Mansion, or the Kyer Brewery, operated from 1880 to 1968, keeping miners refreshed from saloons and restocked. Now, every one of our little towns, and this is why I love craft beer so much, every little town had its own brewery. So our town had a brewery, Shenandoah had a brewery, Tamaqua had a brewery, because distribution in beer wasn't as prevalent in the 1800s and early later on in years. And these breweries essentially all went by the wayside because small-owned businesses, whether it's the war or the Depression or just anything like that, or bigger companies standing the test of time, or like your domestic companies like your like Miller Lights and Coors and all that. A lot of these companies went by the wayside. But if Kyer Brewery still stood today, they would be America's oldest brewery. But because they went under, that was passed to a couple towns over from the Kyer Brewery. That would be Yuengling Brewery, which is America's oldest brewery, which is also here in the Northeast Pennsylvania, heart of the coal region, heart of School County, Pennsylvania. The borough population peaked over 16,000 people in 1910, jammed in less to a half of square mile. Our town has, I think, 4 red lights, 4 or 5. I could be wrong. They're not big at all. We had some famous visitors come through Monty City over the years. Muhammad Ali visited in the 1970s, dazzling the crowds and charisma. He has a camp up in Deer Lake. You can go visit it today, called Fighter's Heaven. That's where he trained to come back and win the world title. But his family doctor was Mr. Holland, not a guy we're going to talk about later, but his father, who was a local doctor in town, and that's where Muhammad Ali went to get his doctor. Gene Kilroy was from this area, and I believe this town, and brought him to this town to go see his old family doctor, and that's why Muhammad Ali spent some time in this town. Babe Ruth, he barnstormed here in the 20s, smashing home runs in an exhibition game right here in the East End Park. Mother Teresa stopped through in the 80s. Actually, not in the 80s, in the 90s, speaking to the Catholic Church communities about hope. Politicians regularly campaign here, with the hometown senator James J. Rhodes bringing colleagues back to see his roots. Mr. Rhodes was a fantastic senator. He was great. It kind of seemed like a time where before this it was us versus them mentality of politics. James was a a Republican who he gave a shit about his local town. His family is fantastic. We're going to talk a little more about the roads here in a little bit, but his wife was also a school teacher of mine. He worked at the school at one point in time. They are a fantastic family who still are very much embedded in our local area or even in the state of Pennsylvania. In a better-known coal dust corner of bars, saints and sports legends once walked our streets. From 16,000 residents in 1910 to 3,500 today, the poverty rate is 34%. Medium household income is around $38,000 a year. Demographics once at 98% white. Today, 80% white. 16% Hispanic Latino, especially in the Puerto Rican and Dominican families, which I think is fantastic. I love that our town is being diverse and is being culturified. I think that's good for a community. And I think, our next town over, Shenandoah, had a lot of Mexican people come, our Mexican heritage come. And at first they were treated horribly and they were treated bad. Seems to be a trend in our area. But, they've turned it around, man. Most of the local businesses in our town are Spanish owned or black owned. People are fighting, and they're not just fighting for their own stake of this town, but I think the older people need to realize that they're not here to destroy, they're here to make it their home as well. And instead of it all being just 98% white, welcome in other people. Let them bring their cultures, let them bring their business, and let's all get together and learn about one another and thrive and bring back what was once great about Mahanoy City and put some money back in this town and bring some reasons for people to come here. I'm a huge fan of that. But houses, old row homes dominate. The average rent for a house is around $1,100, according to the internet, for a modest 2 to 3 bedroom house. It is very cheap to live here. The cost of living is not very high, but also the pay rate around here is not that great, so it all kind of balances out. Yeah. So people would be like, back in the day, you would hear, Irish music and German music and the Lithuanian polka, and now you hear a lot of Spanish music. The town is really changing, and I do love the fact that our town is evolving and growing. Our education system. Serve the Mahanoy Area School District has about 1,100 students. The graduation rate is about 76%. The reading proficiency is about 30%, and math is about 11%. I fall in that shitty math category. The Golden Bears is our thing. So if you do watch a lot of this content, my background of a lot of my stuff, that little towny, dingy town, that's Mahanoy City, Pennsylvania. That's where I'm from. Some of the photos look like they can be taken in from my house. Just put that out there if you want to dox me later on. The reason I use black and gold is that's our color scheme of our school. Black and gold, black and yellow, however you want to signify it. I do throw a little bit of burgundy in there because that's my team is the Commanders, so I throw a little bit in that with the new season. But black and gold is predominantly my colors, and that's because of that. And it's underlying, and it's the identity of our town. We have some other crazy things when it comes to our town, especially in the school thing. We had a Mahanoy Area School District versus the BL. A cheerleader off-campus Snapchat led to a ruling that protected student free speech nationwide. I don't know much about the story or anything like that, so I don't want to say if it was positive or negative, but free speech is always good. I don't know if they said something offensive or if they said something around those lines, but I believe the school tried to punish her or take things away from her because what she said on the social media that did not involve school grounds or were on school grounds. And we had this thing back in the day where they would say, hey, even if you're walking home from school, we're responsible for you, and if you get in trouble outside of school, we can punish you here. But that Supreme Court ruling that came straight from our town ruled that you have free speech, and it protects student free speech. Sports legacies. So we have predominantly football, basketball, wrestling, baseball, swimming. I believe we have a golf team, but the predominant ones that people mostly talk about in our town is our girls and boys basketball and football. No disrespect to any other sports, but they're just not as showcased as these other sports. I only played football for a short time. I did not play any high school basketball, but I played in every park in this town. I love basketball. Our town once was a huge basketball town, whether you were on the team or not. You would not walk to a basketball court in this town and it wouldn't be filled with kids out there balling from sun up to sundown. But in 1963, an undefeated 9-0-1 season for football. In 1983 to 1995, Eastern Conference champions. Keep in mind, too, the student body of our school is about 1,100 students today. Was probably even less or around the same. Graduating classes for boys are probably 100 kids, or less. So to think about a school this size, we have a lot of heart. We have a lot of grit. We're tough. And the fact that we're even playing for conference championships and district championships and state championships at our school level in our small little town is pretty impressive. It comes to good coaching. It comes to tough coal region boys and girls. So yeah, keep that in mind when I say some of this stuff. Rivalries with Shenandoah Valley and Marion were coal region classics and blood feuds. Back in the day, we used to go to a football game, and the Mahanoy area kids and the Shenandoah kids, we would fist fight a lot. And you would throw shit at the other person's bus. It was wild times. It's not nearly as bad as it once was. But let's talk a little bit about the boys side of basketball. And when you think of the boys basketball in Mahanoy area, no disrespect to our amazing coaches we have right now. We've had some amazing coaches in the history of Mahanoy area basketball. But there's one name that stands above all of them, and that's Mickey Holland. Mickey Holland, I've never played a second for that man, but he's a legend. I respect him so much as a coach, as a husband, as a person, as a teacher. He was one of my favorite teachers. The reason why I loved history class was Mickey Holland. Mickey Holland not just told us about the history of what was happening in the world, but then he would break it down to what was happening in our local community. His father was the one who pretty much was the doctor for Muhammad Ali, the guy we talked about earlier. He had 33 years as a coach in Mahanoy area boys basketball program, racking up 614 wins. In 2006 through 7, he had a 26-2 record, and we actually named we have 2 gymnasiums at our school. We have an elementary school and a high school. One of those gyms is named after Mickey Holland. And then on the girls' side of things, you think of one person and one person only, and no disrespect to great coaches that have come after, but that's Joe Alansky. Joe Alansky is the reason why we even have a state championship in our banner. 1988, 32-2, PAAA state champions. 1998, 27-4, PAAA state champions again. I was at that game in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It was awesome. He was known for his Sweet Caroline team tradition. He retired with 391 wins and now is in the district Hall of Fame. So District 10 Hall of Fame, I believe. Wrestling in 2025, Rory Dixon placed top 16 in PIAA tournament, so that's awesome that we do have a pretty tough wrestling program in this area as well. From undefeated football squads to the 3 girls state titles, Sportscape Monte City, banners to hang, and our community kind of lies on our local team. Even to this day, if you don't have a kid that's still playing, Friday night footballs are a big time. Basketball games people still go to even if they have no connections to any of the players anymore, because it's kind of a thing for our town to do, is go support our local teams. I wish they still did it. I need to go and support a team very, very soon because it's part of our culture, part of our town, part of our traditions and our history. Kind of keeps the town unified too. When the sports teams are doing good, the town seems to have more of an uplift to it. And it's kind of crazy to think about that high school sports can do that. The best way I can describe it is it's very remember the Titans. Sports teams can change a lot in an area. And when sports teams do good, from the youth teams to the high school teams, if someone does something, every fire truck in town breaks out. The kids jump on the back of a fire truck and they parade them through town, and everyone shows them that love and support. So another reason why I'm very proud to be where I'm from. Things to do in the area or in our town. Center Street is the cornerstone of our town. That's where most of our stuff happens. We have the West End Cafe. I don't know if it's still running, but at one point in time, it was the longest running and oldest bar in Schuylkill County. Firehouses, our socials are huge. Block parties, bingo parties, parades. The Citizens Humane, the Washington Hook and Ladder, and the West End and the Good American all do functions, whether it's dinners or events. We just had a wrestling show at the Humane Fire Company. So the fire company and the football. Fire company and the local sports are very big lifebloods of Monte City, even to this day. I wish we had more people who volunteered. I'm probably guilty of that too. I should go do more, but just busy. But but if the youth out there is really stepping it up every single year when it comes to keeping that local fire department and sports alive. We have nature, a lot of nature, man. Woods, you can walk up in the woods and go explore. But also we have Locust Lake and Tuscarora parks for hiking and swimming and picnics. They're literally right outside of town, 10, 15 minute drive out. We have the Historical Society in Monte City, the Smith Mansion Museum nearby, and the Number 9 Coal Mine and Museum. I've never heard of that. That's what someone said it's there. Maybe it's something new I'm not familiar with. I know they just started doing train rides in town as well, too. Just outside of town as well, too, if you're heading towards the Locust Lake, Tuscarora area, is Heisler's Dairy and Ice Cream. CJ's Doghouse in town is pretty good. We just opened up some Dominican places that you can go and get in food. So we have Dominican food in town. We have Carini's Pizza in town. Amato's Pizza is probably the oldest pizzeria in town and is still kicking. Joe Amato out there still killing it as the best pizza in town. Sorry for everybody else, but that's just what it is. Next to 54 is like an Italian-Mexican restaurant that's pretty dope. We have a deli that's next to a barbershop in town. It's literally the size of this table to walk through, but man, they have everything you need in there. They're super welcoming. They're super nice. I believe some of the family members listen to this podcast. So if you're checking it out, keep killing it. I love your business. You're doing great. And the food's awesome. And it's a really cool way to try different varieties of foods from different places. They get food from all over the world, different chips, snacks, sodas, everything you name, it's in there. So great things going on there. Notable people from our town. John Walton, the father of cable television. Joe Duggan was a Yankees infielder and Babe Ruth's teammate. Probably a huge reason why he even came to this town anyway. So not only did the Sultan come to Monte City, one of our own got to play with him at one point in time, which is pretty cool. Ron Northey was an MLB outfielder. George Sensky, an NBA champion. Jack McCloskey, the GM of the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boys, is kind of noted to our area and our town. Victor Schweizweger, a Hollywood composer and director. Lizzie Arrington, a female pro basketball player. Senator James Rhodes. Mike Rhodes, he's the head basketball coach at Penn State. He also coached at VCU, and they broke into the Sweet 16 one year. That's also his Senator Rhodes' son. And then Kevin Bishop, the Bishop Kevin C. Rhodes was a Catholic leader in our town. So all great names there. We also have, he's not from this town, but he coached here. Gene Snitsky, pro wrestler, has some ties and roots to our local area, especially when it comes to our high school football team. Modern Outlook. The Act 47 Distress Missionality Program in 2016 exited debris-free in 2024. A $450,000 grant revitalizing Main Street happened for us. Community Pride anchors the fire companies and schools. Still facing challenges with poverty, aging houses, stock, and shrinkage of population. We do have a problem with houses just falling apart. It's a safety hazard when it comes to our community, and I hope it's something we definitely can fix in the future. But yeah, trying to see what else we have here. Oh, I do have more history when I do close here. I did realize I have more when it comes to certain things that I want to touch on more. But yeah, so book recommendations if you want to check some stuff out. Making Sense of the Molly Maguires by Kevin Kenny. The film, The Molly Maguires, Molly Maguire Park, Kyer Brewery site, which is now a playground, and the Historical Society. The mansion's also still there too. Heisler's Dairy or Bar, where you can, or the Yingling, or get some Yingling at a local bar in town, the West End Cafe. You can go check out the Red Zone. McNiff's, McGuire's Pub, which is another one in town. All great places to go to. I believe there's a few other bars in town. If I'm not saying them, I apologize. It's not a slight or anything. I'm just trying to get through this. But well, from miners to martyrs to saints to sluggers, Monte City has a history bigger than its map. This town that gave Americans cable television, the Supreme Court cases, the state championships, all while packing more stories into a half square mile than most cities 20 times its size can do. thank you so much for checking out the podcast. I appreciate you so much for tuning in. If there's any other topics that you want me to cover that are not pop culture related, or maybe some local things I will dive into, I will do so. Check out some of my other content on Banging Beers, where I do talk about Yingling beer. I do review a lot of their stuff, so you can check that out as well. They do tours. Maybe I'll do a whole thing of Pottsville as well. But tons of great things to do in this area. It's small. We're tiny, but we're mighty. We pack a punch. It's one of those places that if you're, when you're in it and you're going through it, sometimes it may not seem like the best, and it may seem grungy and dirty and gross. But when push comes to shove, if someone needs somebody, or there's someone that needs help, we usually rise up and help each other. It's just kind of what we do in this area. I love that it's becoming more culturally vast, and I hope that the positive things of our history branch out to the new people that are bringing their own cultures in, and we all can learn to respect one another and grow this fine town, fix up some of these houses, get rid of some of the bad ones, put up some new ones. Let's continue to grow our sports teams. Let's continue to grow our volunteer fire departments, clean up our parks, and just make a great place for the future. The past, present, and future of this town. I hope one day that I can kind of be like the Kevin Smith of my town, get popular, make enough money on this that I can provide for myself, my friends, my family, but also give back to my community and give more things for the youth to do, give more places that people can be safe, places that people can be educated, create their art, showcase their art, and grow. Thank you guys so much for joining the ABJ Podcast. This has been the episode about Mahanoy City, Pennsylvania. We'll see you guys next time. Go Bears.